Would you like a full lush garden as soon as possible, but not have to spend a ton of money? Then this video is for you. The answer is growing perennials from seed. You'd be amazed at how many perennials it's easy to grow from seed. Not all of them are. I have tried dozens, and there are plenty that it is better to just go to the nursery, buy the plant, divide it, and propagate it that way. But today I want to share with you 16 perennials that you can grow easily from seed, and it's worth it because then you can plant in drifts, you can plant hedges, and you don't have to spend hardly any money, just a couple of dollars. You just need some patience and you have to be willing to wait a little longer, but it's so worth it. Just to watch the process unfold is amazing, and I totally recommend it. For your convenience, I did put together a guide with the pictures and the light requirements and tips on growing each one from seed because some of them are a little bit different. So if you want to pick that up, I'll put the link in the description. Let's start with the sun lovers. Echinacea, also known as purple coneflower. This is a great one. It's so easy to start from seed. You can have a field of it within a year. You plant it the first year and you get flowers the next, but it's worth the wait because this is such a pollinator magnet. It's also great for the goldfinches. If you leave the seed heads up in the winter, then you have instant bird feeders. It's great, and I love just watching, especially the yellow finches come and peck off the seeds. It makes my heart happy. And it does reseed easily, so once you plant a few plants, you'll have echinacea for years. You can share it with your friends. It's such a great plant. It's also medicinal. You can make tea out of it, tinctures. Black-eyed Susans, also known as Rudbeckia hirta. These are native to the US. They're easy to start from seed. I actually bought my first plant at the grocery store, but it reseeds so readily. It would be easy to start from seed. This is such a great one because it can handle drought no problem once it's established. There are many different cultivars you can get of Rudbeckia, and they are short-lived, but it's okay because they reseed all over the garden pretty easily. So once you start them from seed and grow them, you don't have to plant them again. I love Rudbeckia. It's another pollinator favorite. Gaura. Gaura is a great one because it tolerates heat and drought. It has a taproot, so it can get to the water no problem. And it's a great one for movement in your garden because it sways in the breeze, and it's another pollinator magnet, and it just has those dainty flowers. This is a hard one to find from seed. I've only found the white variety, but I do find that the ones that I plant from seed do better in my garden than Gaura that I buy from the store. And it does reseed. I'll have it pop up in different places. It's one of those that you can cut it back after it's first flowering and it'll give you more blooms. It also helps to cut it back in early summer if you want it to be extra bushy. Liatris, also known as blazing star. This is another great butterfly plant. It grows in these spikes that are so interesting, and it blooms from the top down, which is unusual. This is easy to start from seed. You do have to wait until the next year for it to flower, but it's really a cheap way to have this plant all over your garden. And it really looks good planted in mass. Yarrow. Yarrow is another drought tolerant one once it's established. And I even love the leaves of yarrow. They're fern-like, so in the early spring, even before it's blooming, it gives you so much interest to your garden. And it's a great one for bouquets. You can dry it. It blooms all summer, and it really just adds a nice texture to the garden. And it adds a nice height to the garden. If you get the common yarrow, it's pretty tall. It's about 36 inches. Maybe even more. I mean, it really depends how much water it gets that year. Lavender. This was an experiment I did years ago, not expecting it to succeed. Lavender is easier than I thought to plant from seed. You can just plant it about in February time. You want to get it started early because it is a slow grower, but you plant those little seedlings out in your garden, wait one more year, and you have a nice sized plant, and it blooms really nice. And in the next year, it gets even bigger. So the lavender that you see in my garden, that's all planted from seed. And I mean, who doesn't love lavender? It smells great. The pollinators love it. There's so much you can do with it. It's completely deer resistant. Jupiter's beard. This one's new to me. I finally got it to bloom this past summer. I planted it the year before. This is a really pretty one. It's another good pollinator plant. I bought a mix pack, so I have some white ones and some rose. I'm expecting it to really fill out this year and give me a nice show. Let's move on to perennials that can do either full sun or part shade. Bee balm. Bee balm is a great one. It can be prone to powdery mildew, so you want to be careful about that. Give it plenty of airflow, or choose a variety that specifically says it's powdery mildew resistant. But this is another great pollinator one. Obviously it's called bee balm, so the bees are all over it. And the hummingbirds love this one too. Penstemon. There are all different kinds of penstemon, and they are all wonderful. They have those tubular flowers that the hummingbirds love. I particularly love Rocky Mountain penstemon because it has this electric blue color. It's something that I've never seen in a nursery. That's why I like growing these things from seed, because you can have so much more variety and unusual plants in your garden. It's another pollinator magnet. You can also grow the taller penstemon varieties. So I found with penstemon, the first year you get just a small little plant and you have to wait until the second year to get flowers, but it's worth the wait. And once you do have a decent sized plant, it's easy to divide and spread it all over your garden. Lamb's ear. I never purposely started lamb's ear from seed because I took a plant from my mom's garden years ago, but it self-sows so easily, so this would be an easy one to start from seed. It's drought tolerant and deer resistant because it has those silver fuzzy leaves. It's a great one to add texture to your garden. Columbine. Columbine prefers well-drained soil. It does really well in part sun. Full sun can be a little harsh on it. It's great because it gives you spring flowers, so the pollinators have something to eat during that time when not many other things are blooming, and it just has beautiful blooms. It's another one that reseeds easily, so once you plant it, just leave those seed heads up and let them spread around. It doesn't spread around aggressively, and it's easy to move the seedlings to where you want them and put them in a different spot. Balloon flower. This is an easy one to grow. I have some in full sun, I have some in part sun. It's such an interesting one because it's called balloon flower because the bud puffs up like a balloon and then it opens to this pretty delicate flower. It's another pollinator magnet. You can get varieties in blue and in white, which is always nice to have blue and white scattered throughout the garden. It really gives it a beautiful pastel look. Balloon flower is a good idea too, to plant it in clumps of, anywhere from 3 to 5 plants, which is much more affordable to do when you're planting things from seed instead of having to buy each individual plant. It gives you more of a statement in the garden. Feverfew. Feverfew is tough. You could probably plant feverfew anywhere. It does really well in full sun or part shade. It does well in any kind of soil. It has delicate daisy flowers, which are so cute, and the pollinators love them. And it's also great for the springtime because you can make early spring bouquets when not a lot of things are blooming. And it blooms at the same time as the peonies, and these together look so nice in a bouquet. But if you keep on cutting it, it'll bloom for you throughout the season, so you can still be using it for your fall bouquets. So this is a really good one, and it does reseed easily. So once you plant feverfew once, you'll have plenty of it, and the seedlings are easy to pull up if it comes up where you don't want it, because it can take over if you let it. Dusty Miller. This is a good one to throw in to add foliage to your garden. It's hardy zone 7 to 10, so if you're in colder zones, it's just an annual for you. But it's nice because it's deer resistant and it gives you that silver in the garden, which is nice to have those pops. It's nice to have a section with just foliage too, because it gives your eye a place to rest. It's drought tolerant and it's not fussy about soil. It does fine in poor soil. The next two you can plant in part sun or full shade. Great blue lobelia. I love this plant because the bees love it, the hummingbirds love it. It has those tubular flowers and it's such a nice color. And just any plant that flowers and I can put in full shade is a winner in my book because there's not a lot of those. You plant it the first year and the second year you'll get blooms. Irish moss. This is a great one. It's not actually a moss. It's a nice ground cover. It's so soft. It gets these pretty white delicate flowers in spring. It's a great one you can plant in between pavers, or I have it along my rock path in my bridge garden, interspersed with my English daisies, which is a bonus one, English daisies. They actually are a perennial and they're easily grown from seed. I forgot about them when I was making this video. The thing about English daisies is when you get a packet, a lot of times it'll have these really pretty double pink ones and then it'll be mixed with white. But when they come back the next year and reseed, they're just all white. Just so you know. If you are going to start perennials from seed this year, you might want to think about getting a greenhouse. Well, how do you use a greenhouse? Why is that necessary for starting seeds? You can watch this video if you missed it. And then there's also the video that takes you through my greenhouse and how I built it, if you want to do something similar. And don't forget, if you want the free guide, you can pick that up. I'll put the link in the description and in the pinned comment, and that way you'll be good to go. Happy seed starting.